planning resource. You know, we all know that we have science and math consumables, and we all don't, and unless you have some sort of real documented lesson plan to follow, you're just going to follow the TE in the book every day, and many teachers are doing that. Not that those textbooks don't serve a purpose and have a okay plan, but any teacher knows to really get to your kids, there's some things you do by learning, or you have somebody say, no, we're going to do this lesson, it's really, and you're like, how would I even created that lesson? That's so neat how you did that, and somebody helping you and things like that. So we need resources, we need warm-ups, we need practice. There's the lesson planning is needing to be consistent. We need a database. We have Eduphoria Forethought. You could actually, when you click on your lesson plan and you click on the enter the TEKS what you're doing, when you click on that TEKS, a database of lesson plans can be right there, and you're like, oh, which one do I want to do? That one, and you click on it, and these are all what the district should be putting in. Like we would hire people to write lesson plans and scan in what resources go with them, and that goes with teaching force, or that goes with teaching similes or something, and then you already know the curriculum, put it in there, so it's vetted.
Approved, it's good.
And it's right there. We have all of the resources, but nobody can say, except for Canvas, which is limited, right?
Very limited.
That's their resource, which is a whole new resource.
Well, and if you've never taught the content before, and you didn't even get your textbooks until weeks into the school year, they're just spinning their wheels trying to get caught up. So yes,
exactly. And the textbooks thing too, that's not something you put in your campus improvement plan. You should have a textbook inventory. You order them in the spring, you get them in the summer, you pass them out. None of that could be answered. Or who is in charge of textbook? Who can tell me what I can and cannot keep in the book room so I can get rid of stuff? I still haven't gotten an inventory, so I'm just knowing that the books that were delivered over the summer or ordered over the summer are allowable. But I don't know
about all the others.
No, I don't. And I thought, well, I'll just give them out to teachers. And then Ms. Royal made a good point. What if they're out of date? And you don't want to give teachers something that's not appropriate or that's going to be different. TEKS have changed over the years.
Right.
So that's not something that was in our plan to even talk about, but you're right. If you're coming in with new and you have no lesson plans, no resources, you only have the book that you don't even have.
And you've never even taught those standards before. So you're just looking at the standards for the first time ever.
You're just Googling stuff all the time.
You're
all the time looking for lessons. And I know I did that as a first year teacher, but it was I had all the resources, but I knew that I needed to figure out exactly how I'm going to present that for the whole day. You still have to plan. You can't just be given certain things for reading, and especially in this school, this school district needs a prescribed reading program, like Success for All was mine, I've used before. It's everything you need in a big old box, and it's got a script for every day, and what word work you do, and what stories go behind what, and what the homework will be, and what the assessment is, and the writing piece, and everything is done. And so I was able to learn how to teach based on a prescribed model that showed success. And then we were also trained on how to assess not just a reading level but a math level. And
so when thinking about what you said, this was not one of the initial questions, but when thinking about you saying that one of the first things you look at is the state assessment data and then staffing. So how much, and I know you were only here a few days before, but maybe how much did those two things work together to determine the placement of the few teachers who remained on campus who had experience versus new teachers? Like, what did that process look like, and how do you decide that? Because we know that students need a solid foundation in K1 and 2, but you're accountable to the state and 3-4. So how is that decision made?
It's like if you don't look at testing information and where you are compared to others. As a teacher, I did not care I said, I'm going to teach my teaks. Y'all are going to learn. You're going to love what we do. We're going to do our best. And then that test will come, and it's just a piece of paper because you've already done everything and we've learned it all.
Right.
So then we'll take some practice tests, and we did do benchmarks and things like that. But one thing we're doing in this school is bringing back assessments that can be used as data from K all the way to 4. That way, when you get to 3rd grade, we already know where you are. So what we've kind of learned is RTI is a mess, and it's like this in a lot of districts. I'm not just saying Huntsville. It's almost like, because I've been from a junior high for so long, by the time they would get to junior high, it was like, well, they're in junior high, they don't need RTI.
Yeah.
So that mindset was in districts. It could be here, but we really need it here in K. So by the time they get to 3rd grade, they're in the right placement.
Right.
And the teacher knows what the kiddo needs and what works for the kiddo.
Absolutely.
So that's what we are trying to do is, and we're waiting for RTI lessons and training, but she just did her own. She knows what's worked, and she wanted to give out information that could help. So the principal is real big on the RTI process, but she knows it's going to take a lot of conversation. So PLCs, every once a month, they're going to have to be just about RTI so we can find these kids and not just hear, well, last year they were this and that, but there's no documentation.
Yeah.
So it's really to use some interventions and give teachers tools, but also to do some benchmark testing.
Yeah.
I'd really like to have 3. I think we're going to have 2.
Yeah.
And also, that way by the time they get to 3rd grade, the state testing is something that they're used to. They're used to sitting down and being assessed. So you don't have to focus so much on it, but our kids don't know. They don't know by looking at the scores how to take it.
You're silly.
They don't know. They don't know how to sit through a test. They don't have the duration behind them, and they don't have the processing skills to read a question full of words and answer 1A through D full of words. Like, it's too much.
Well, and she said she wanted Miss Royal now wants us to do the end of unit assessments, and so we had our first one last week. And so in 3rd grade, it was my students really their first time in their educational career where they've had to sit down and tend to a task for that length of time and at that level. And I used it as a teaching opportunity at first, but even with me talking them through it, they were so overwhelmed by it. And I agree, I feel like because we haven't done that, there's not an accurate picture of where they are and what they can do.
But that's all we're being judged on.
Right.
And that's why I don't want to look at it first.
No.
But everybody else does in the board meeting. That's all they talk about.
Yeah.
So we're going to look at it first, but we know that those scores are only reported 3rd and 4th. But you're right. Every student in this building needs to learn that process.
Yeah.
So that's, kind of something that is something that we're working on, to the point where if we have to create our own, we will. But the principal, and we just got another one today for K through 2 for them to give. So we're hoping that will help remove the STAR focus from our campus improvement plan first, But it's STAR focus, but it doesn't mean only focus on 3rd and 4th.
Right. So one thing I was wondering is, when you're creating goals for your campus improvement plan, how do you make sure that they're aligned with the vision's goals?
So a real ideal campus improvement plan will be based on input. And so I would like to move this one. These goals were really created in line with our TEA and Region 6 support staff that are assigned to our campus to sit with us and really help us try to figure out what they know and what we can do to help get where we need to be. So we talked about, I'll tell you exactly what we talked about that last time we met. We sat and we kind of just talked. We talked about what problems. So we did identify the first problem as the STAR scores, being 42% for reading and 38% for math. The passing, so what is the root cause behind the problem? So we talked about discipline first, no training or lack of training or inefficient training. We talked about the Helm method. What is that, and how if there are pieces we can pull since that's been removed, what pieces do we keep, what pieces do we not? You know, we looked at teachers that were Helms teachers last year, and their scores were just in line with everybody else. So it was only done for a year or two,
Right.
so it's not effective to use that data. And we talked about providing teachers with classroom management support, using T-Test, and then also just a tool to track how we grow, like whether it's mostly formal assessments, but what informal assessments are we using? And that's the relationship piece for being self-contained, is that you will pick up a lot of what a kiddo can do and have them all day and know.
Right.
But that balanced literacy push for the district is effective. It's how you should teach in the elementary, but how does that look? So with the training that came after the first month of school was that Miss Kuntz gave, it was great. Or I don't know if that's the one you sat in on. But I saw it before, but I didn't go to the training. But I do feel that those types of things would have helped teachers get started on the right foot, but we're just starting late. But it's really that training. And then 2 weeks ago we had a training on a simple way to just set up stations.
Yeah.
And so those are things that the coaches are really bringing to us that we needed a long time ago. But I think with the district pulling them off campus and pulling our interventionists out, they didn't realize that the campus was going to be lost and left on the shoulders of the returning teachers. And that's unfair, especially when you guys are moved around.
Yeah.
You know. So then we talk about actually what resources should we buy to help, you know. So we know we need these things. We know we need some sort of lesson plan database, but really, what are some things that teachers can have in their hands?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we form our goals, and then we pick our goals based on that.
So I am going to have to get my kids here in a minute. But so I'll just move to my last question, which is, what do you think that I can do to have the biggest impact on helping our campus?
Well, I think that you being the interventionist for the campus last year and years before, and now moving to the reading teacher, obviously, and being an intern, I feel like you would be more flexible and open to helping the staff. So just being the mentor to so many teachers that you're doing, officially their mentor, is one thing. And you know what you can do is you just stay consistent, you know, and you seem to not want to stir the pot or complain. You don't have negative talk, you know, you do speak with good purpose. And I think that just even the day that you interned with me was helpful, you know, just being very honest about your thoughts on what can be improved and what can't be. And a lot of your internship activities are ideas that we implement.
Yeah.
So you just kind of being somebody that's been in this campus and understands and has a head that's calm and collected, just offering suggestions or implementing new processes or being open to or helping think of what to do, just continue doing that.
Okay. I can do that.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Well, I do appreciate you and all of the time you're having to take.
I don't want you to say that, though. I feel bad when you say that.
No,
'Cause
okay,
I'm
I
here
won't
for
say
you
it
guys.
anymore. I won't say it.
I just appreciate you saying that, because it feels like a parent that can't. I'm like, I'm trying to go to medical school and I want to take care of you, but I never see you. You know what I mean? I'm trying to take care of all the babies, and the teachers.
I don't ever feel like if I had a problem, you would tell me you don't have time for me.
Okay.
I don't ever feel like that.
Okay.
I feel very supported.
Well,
Very.
Then keeping that attitude and helping others, you know.
Yep.
Just know that I am here for them. It's just I'm only one person, and there's only so many only hours in the day.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of that comes from, I was an athlete and on a team always, and that's just what you do. You know, you take care of the person beside you, and if that's just what you do.
It is.
And that's just.
And like a team, I'm never going to be the only adult here.
Right.
I'm never going to be the only person on campus.
Right.
There's always going to be grown-ups here to help me.
Yes.
Yeah, always. So I'm never worried. You know, I don't want to feel like I have to maintain everything on my shoulders.
Yeah.
And I'm not somebody that has that micromanagement side. I'm working on letting that go, because it does not produce.
Right.
So.
Thank you.
Thank
for your
you.
time.
I think you're amazing.
I think you are.
How did we do, bud?